Welcome to Reread, where I'm rereading through the expanded universe in chronological order. So here we go again with a bunch of short stories and then a comic book series I'm going to talk about. First off, we're going to have to go sadly to Star Wars Tales number 24 and re-review Marked. Now, Marked is the story of a younger Darth Maul basically learning another lesson of betrayal from Darth Sidious. Darth Sidious sends him on a mission to see this fighter. This cage fighter is really good, but he can also kind of use the Force. He presents a message to give that Darth Maul a message to give to that fighter. When the message is played, basically it's Darth Sidious going, "Hey, I'd like to consider you for an apprentice. Kill my current apprentice and the job's yours." Now it shocks Darth Maul, and where they're fighting inside the cage, he can't use his lightsaber. It has to be hand-to-hand combat against this cage fighter. And even though the cage fighter starts off to have the upper hand, of course Darth Maul comes out ahead, and he realizes it was another test from his master. Ooh, what a cruel master. This actually short tale isn't that bad. I know I make fun of Star Wars tales a lot, but Marked was pretty good. Now comes up to two other little comic books or comic strips that I'd totally forgotten about in my first Matt's Expanded Universe review. Now I'd go back and make an episode on it, of course. But this is the moment I found out about them. I found out about Attack on Theed by Michael Stackpole. It was an online comic book on Wizards of the Coast. Like I said in my original review, I had found it because I was just doing some extra study when I was learning about the Invasion of Theed RPG based off some ad in one of the comic books I read. And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, there was a comic strip on that. And of course I ended up having it. I read it. It's just a few pages. It's just introducing the heroes from the adventure and setting them up. And then at the end of it says, the adventures is yours to tell, or it continues through you, through the game. You know, play the role-playing game and see how this invasion works out. It's kind of weird. Like I said, if they had Michael Stackpole write it, you think it'd be a little bit more epic? I don't know. They had Timothy Zahn write one earlier, so they were just going for that big name. And of course, that brings readers to it. But really, there's not much to this. It's just setting up the RPG game. The next one I failed to mention originally on Matt's Expanded Universe was Vow to Justice. This is written by Jan Strand and is the last 3 issues of the 6-part series of the Star Wars ongoing series, Prelude to Rebellion. And again, I'd read this when it came out, when I was doing my reviews. Yeah, I kind of flipped through the comic book, but didn't even notice the little short story, 3-part short story in the last 4 issues, 4, 5, and 6. I did get to reread those because I was reading through it. I happened to flip through and see it again. I was like, I don't think I reviewed this. I went back and looked and I didn't. And it's fine. Again, it's basically Ki-Adi-Mundi as he's younger and kind of learning a lesson. First off, he's a child growing up, trying to, there's a Jedi recruiting him. At first, the family doesn't want him to go to the Jedi because males are very hard to find on the planet. The male-female ratio is way off. And so they don't want to give him up because he's a male. But when some raiders come in who try to take children, especially sons, they say, well, we don't want to have the risk of having Ki-Adi-Mundi kidnapped, so we'd rather them go with the Jedi where he'll be safe. Later on, in like part 2 and 3, Ki-Adi-Mundi comes back and he vows vengeance on the king of the raiders, their leader. He's going to go and maybe kill him. I don't know. Yoda warns him of revenge because he's still kind of young, and this story is kind of told like in the past of what Ki-Adi-Mundi went through when he was younger. And so then he goes to meet this guy. He finds out that he's old and retired. He's basically been beaten by one of his underlings, and now he just feeds like the space pigs or something. He's a shell of himself. So Ki-Adi-Mundi is leaving, and he decides that killing this or getting revenge on this old leader isn't worth it because he's broken. But the old leader's mad because he thinks Ki-Adi-Mundi is laughing at him, so he throws a knife at him, which Ki-Adi-Mundi ducks, and he has a chance to raise his sword and kill him in defense, but he decides it's not worth it. Revenge, like Yoda said, is not worth it, and walks away. It's not a bad story. More stuff, more backstory to Ki-Adi-Mundi, who's already an interesting character. Now, before Prelude to Rebellion, there is another issue 0. It was online, I think, an Adobe Flash comic book, one of like 2 they ever made back when Adobe Flash was a thing in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I found it in print, printed it out, reread that one. It's just a couple of pages about Ki-Adi-Mundi is remembering back to when he was Yoda's student, and a lesson Yoda learned is watch out, because he rigs a training droid to shoot it in different directions at the same time, and he tells Yoda, hey, that's not fair, because it caught Ki-Adi-Mundi by surprise. And, you know, the lesson from Yoda is, you know, the enemy doesn't play fair. You need to look at all sides, look at all angles. And that's to come in handy with Prelude to Rebellion by Jan Strand, the first 6 issues of the ongoing Star Wars comic book series by Dark Horse. Now, in my original review, I said I wasn't interested in Ki-Adi-Mundi, and then when I read it, I loved it. I still stand by that. I think Ki-Adi-Mundi was a good choice. I forgot this, he's riding like some kind of dodo bird on his planet. For some reason, he doesn't want his planet to join the Republic, even though at this point he is a Jedi Knight. It's right before, it takes place at the same time, from what I can tell, as Star Wars Jedi Council, the comic book. Because in the end of this comic book series, it goes to the same scene from Star Wars Jedi Council, which I'm sure Jedi Council kind of synced up with this book, which came out first, I believe. But either way, it syncs up with it to where they're suggesting who can replace or who can be on the council, and Ki-Adi-Mundi's name pops up, and so they're going to accept him on the council. And he doesn't know that yet, because that's kind of happening on Coruscant as he's on his home planet. But for some reason on his home planet, he doesn't want his home planet to join the Republic. He wants to keep the ways of his world and keep them in the past, but there are these pro-tech people. They're pro-new technology, and he is against it. And during these protests, he gets up to speak, but he makes them even madder. A struggle happens, someone gets his lightsaber, ignites it, and accidentally kills the kid in front of him. Well, then he drops the lightsaber and runs, and through all the chaos, everyone thinks that Ki-Adi-Mundi killed him. Of course, later on, during the trial, they find out there were some of the kid's fingerprints on it, so Ki-Adi-Mundi is released, yet his lightsaber is kept as evidence for the crime. He's got to go find the kid who actually did the murder, but he has to do that without his lightsaber, so he has to fight without his lightsaber for the first half of the comic book, until finally the government decides to give it back, and just in time to save his life, because there's this droid coming to kill him, and he's already wounded him really bad. In fact, when Ki-Adi-Mundi slashes him and takes him down, Ki-Adi-Mundi passes out. He ends up in a Bacta tank. He's recovered and still a little weak, but now he has a new mission to help out. Their Effet Mon, by the way, is kind of, you know, fanning the flames of this pro-tech movement, this revolution. So is this other politician who is for pro-tech. Effet Mon being in this is fantastic too. And I forgot that Jabba the Hutt, this is his first chronological appearance, because he and Jabba have some shady dealings going on. Jabba's toward the end of it, not really that big a deal. But Ki-Adi-Mundi is trying to get Effet Mon because he realizes that his daughter is kind of tied up in this pro-tech movement, or one of his daughters. He has many daughters. And one of his daughters is in the pro-tech movement, and Effet Mon has her, and he's holding her captive so the Jedi will get out of his business, you know, or else he'll kill her. And so he's trying to track Effet Mon to save his daughter. Now, he eventually does. Everyone is happy. Effet Mon gets away and goes, you know what? Effet Mon. It's not worth it. I'm kidding. He doesn't say that. That'd be awesome if he did. But, that's another thing. In this comic book, I don't know if Jan Strand did this on purpose, but there's something that happens, and one of the pro-tech, youth leaders gets shot and killed, and Ki-Adi-Mundi's daughter's like, oh no, this is terrible. And the other one, the boy turns to her and goes, shh, it will be all right. Shh, it. It'll be all right. I was like, did she do that on purpose? Did she try to get a swear word in there? I don't know. I doubt it, but I just thought that was kind of funny, because at first I read that, I was like, oh wait, there's a period between these two words. But Prelude to Rebellion kind of shows us the life of Ki-Adi-Mundi. He is not that wise. He's kind of foolish. He kind of gets tricked. He doesn't know how to talk to his wife sometimes. So it shows a more fallible, not a more together, like we see in episode 1 and going forward. He's very calm, very wise. But right now, he kind of makes mistakes. Even though he is older, they say he's older, he makes a lot of rookie mistakes, because he's still a Jedi Knight. So it's interesting to see, and I don't mind, why is he dumb here and then he's smart when he gets to the council? Well, wisdom can come like that. There's that one point where you cross that threshold of being foolish to being wise. Even though he made a lot of foolish mistakes, he is now wise. This comic book is really good. Prelude to Rebellion is really interesting. Like I said, Ki-Adi-Mundi, probably not anyone's favorite Jedi by far from episode 1, but still, rereading this comic book, I still love it. I still think it's good. It's well drawn too, and the story is great. Of course, he's having lots of children. He wants one boy, he at least wants one boy, and it ends with one of his, I believe it's one of his honor wives. There's his real wife and then a bunch of honor wives, because of course they're a dying race because there's not that many males in society. So he's hoping his new wife will have a male, and he's trying to balance his family life and his Jedi life. And that's one of the things Yoda says on Coruscant, that he's learning his balance, he's doing a good job, because at the end he's spending time with his family. And so now he's about to become, unbeknownst to him, because he hasn't made it back to Coruscant, but he's about to be asked to join the Jedi Council. It's great. All right, folks, that's it for now. See you next time.